question was what woke him up, because I told him he's always been like very anti-government, but he's always telling me like when 9/11 happened, I was like, I didn't understand the magnitude of it anyway, but he was the second it happened was like,
I
that's
think it was
us.
never. I never trusted
It
anything. I
never
never.
hit right with you. You know
Yeah.
what? It didn't hit wrong with me initially. I knew something was wrong, but I could like I wasn't around anybody there. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Hmm.
And before I knew it, it was shock and awe. And I was up
Yeah.
in that. I was like, holy shit. I was like, oh man, somebody about to get their ass whooped. I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? That's where I was, like, after it happened. That itself didn't wake me up. It woke you up like that? You already knew.
Yeah,
Really, it was my history books in school. That's what woke me up. It was so many lies in there that I caught and asked the teachers, and they had no answers. So that's what it really was.
See, from I don't see, I was still see, even in school, like I was the same as you. I remember when Malcolm X came out, and I remember I grown up mostly Christian, and my stepdad was Catholic, and I saw this Nation of Islam thing cracking. I was like, oh, that's where Black folks are supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And so I
right.
started looking into that, and then I started looking into other things or whatever. But yeah, at that point, I thought that maybe I might become Muslim or something, like maybe or whatever. But then I, started. I don't know. I
The
mean, I still
extremism,
wasn't.
like the extremes on both sides, like
Yeah, well,
in
I
the
just still wasn't awake then, is what I'm saying. Like
oh yeah.
I still didn't get it. I still didn't get it. I didn't get it until I was a dad. When I was a dad, I became a single dad, and I was trying to set a good example for my son. So I was like, "You going to school, nigga? I'm going back to school, right?" You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let's get it cracking, right? So I'm in school, and I just came across this crazy movie called Zeitgeist. And Zeitgeist, that one movie broke down religion, it broke down the financial system, and it broke down 9/11 all in the same movie. And like, it wasn't even that I believed it necessarily. It was that I didn't have that information that woke me up.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It wasn't that I believed everything necessarily, but I was like, if this is true, how come I don't know it? How come they're not teaching this, in the schools and the church? How come they're not teaching all this different stuff? That's when that's when I began my search for what was true and what was real. What was
I
fake.
watched that movie still. I probably watched it like 3 weeks ago. She hates it when I watch it over and over.
That's the five
But
hour one?
no,
Or
that's
the
not
nine
that
hour
one.
one?
No, this one's 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
I'm
Yeah.
sure I've seen
It's
it.
two different ones.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well, there's
remember
like
when
four of them now. They got
Oh,
addendums
is
and
it?
everything else. Yeah.
there's one, isn't there one that like brings it all together in the end? Like this is how we, this is how we can move
Well,
forward. And it
I
kind
don't
of,
know how many I saw. The first one had a good impact. The other ones were a little more propagandistic, in my opinion.
okay.
Although I'm down with the resource-based economy, I do appreciate their approach to
Okay.
how they wanted to go about that. But the first one itself it was just the shocker. It was just
Yeah,
the
it was.
idea that the Federal Reserve was a private bank. Like what? I mean, like that. Like what? I was like,
Right.
oh my god! Like what?
That whole thing, yeah. That I
And
was
then
like,
like
oh, there's
the
so
nine
much to
eleven part,
understand that you can learn.
right? The 9/11 part was like it was more like crystallized what I had a feeling of, but didn't have a way to articulate, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone knows in their core that buildings don't crumble like that.
They
Like,
do.
Right.
but you just
Right.
can't quite.
Because you're like, why would they lie about that? Why would they do that? Like it just, to me, it just didn't make
It's the only thing that makes sense is that had to have happened because
it had
what
to have
else?
happened.
What's the alternative, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the 9/11 part for me, it was just like, okay, I was like this, okay, all right, okay, all right, okay, 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 all right. That's how it was with the 9/11 part.
Yeah.
What about
And then there's
you,
always more. Like there's
Leah?
always
What woke you
another.
up?
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
just looking at all the details of the Holocaust because my family
Oh yeah,
is
you said that.
my mom's
Was there
family.
like a seminal
Yeah.
moment? Was
I
there
mean,
like
that was it. Well, I watched it during the big Trump distraction, like when he was, the whole, Hillary Trump thing. And it was just like the world's gone crazy, everything's gone crazy. And it was kind of like I had to reset myself and just be like, I'm gonna start here. But it was, I was writing something for a magazine that my mom's friend was editing. and it was on racism. We all were. Did you write something?
No, nothing.
No, but me and the kids did. And writing that, I kept trying to find out, well, why are people racist though? But why do they hate? Like, what's the reason? And I just kept pulling at threads and getting nothing, pulling at threads, getting nothing. And I was like, it can't just be a thing. Like, there has to be a reason, you know? And I just kept coming up empty. So I just started digging. Ultimately ended up at the Holocaust, you know, denial videos, which my mom's family is Jewish, you know, and so they disowned her when she got with my dad, which was with the whole racism. Like, why though, you know?
Right.
And so I got to that, and that just jump started everything.
Ooh.
When I came out of that room, I was like, Trump is good, Hillary's bad. The world, like, I was like, on some way other shit, you know. I've since learned
a guy named oh, go ahead.
No, I just said, since I've learned to like flip it one more time, like, okay, Trump is good is what I found. I got to flip it again. And it doesn't necessarily flip backwards. It just flips another way. You know, it flips forward because there's always another stone to unturned. And I just feel like people shouldn't stop, because they'll stop and just be like, oh, I know everything. And it's like, maybe.
Well, yeah. Well, even the stuff that I think I know a lot about, like MK Ultra or what's the not paperclip, but Mockingbird, right? The things that you think you know a lot of, you really don't. You really
you don't know that. You don't know the depth of it, and you don't know. There's just so much.
There's just so much, because they've spent the better part of, I don't know, 100 years, thousands of years, I don't know how many years, studying and taking this apart, figuring this out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
How they work. Yeah. Tavistock is a good one to look into for that. Like, just seeing. They spent more time studying our brains than they have anything else. And all of those think tanks that they have that are running government, that's the definition of bureaucracy. Those are making us tick. Every single thing, every piece of information that we have leads us somewhere, and it's where they want us to go. So it's okay, like,
now, I don't know if it was you that put me onto this, but I was just talking about the ritual of, or somebody was talking about the ritual of this, the vaccine, the jab, the ritual of it. Do you know what?
Oh, no, what do you mean?
You know what? I'm sorry, I hate doing this, but give me just 1 second, because I just got this and I was going to share it with you, and I think I know where it is. Hang on.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being a ritual.
Because we're such a ritualistic people, is basically what he was saying.
Everything is, they say. I want to find something too.
I forgot what it was. You did put me onto it, but you didn't watch it with me. This is, what's his name? Liam Sheff.
Oh, yes. Oh, damn. I know that's what I was going to talk about next, but I didn't know that he said that. That's great.
Why it's going to be very difficult for the anti-vaccine movement to get what it wants. No, there are two reasons. One, you don't really question huge cultural stories, and the cultural story is always the same. The cultural story is, this is the way we do it. We didn't always do it this way, but we learned to do it this way, and now we live in the best of all possible worlds, to quote Voltaire. We live in the best of all possible worlds, despite the disease outbreaks caused by vaccines that happen in 100% vaccinated groups, despite the diseases caused by vaccines themselves that aren't related to the vaccine but to the specific ingredients, despite the autism rates. We live in the best of all possible worlds because we don't have to worry about scarlet fever. Okay, but didn't scarlet fever go away because of sanitation? Yes, it did, but don't ask that question. You don't need to ask that question if you believe that we live in the best of all possible worlds. People on the other side of the vaccine debate, people who are pro-vaccine and publicly so, have all the support of this story. We live in the best of all possible worlds. We don't have scarlet fever anymore. We got rid of polio by injecting poison into people. People stand up and say, but wait, didn't we spray DDT on people and that also gave them the polio, and then we changed the definition to a septic meningitis, and that kind of is where the polio cases went, and isn't it a more complex story? No, we live in the best of all possible worlds. That's all that there is. Don't ask any questions. They get all the support that they want because the entire media operation, which is the aristocracy, which is the church, which is the government, believes that we live in the best of all possible worlds, and this is a story that they have to tell us. So it's going to be nearly impossible for the anti-vaccine movement to get people to say, you're right, we don't live in the best of all possible worlds. Primarily for the reason that the anti-vaccine movement doesn't know what to offer in place of vaccination. And this might be the most crucial point that nobody talks about. Vaccination is nothing if not a ritual. It is a religious, ritualized act, a ceremony. You go into somebody with a white coat who you entrust implicitly, who is smarter than you, has better training, more training than you, and they're going to cause you some pain. And they admit this. This is how they gain your, this is going to hurt a little bit. They gain your trust. They're not lying to you. It's going to hurt a little bit. And then the hurt is supposedly going to be over. Now, these guys are just priests doing a ritual. They don't know that really that the hurt is going to be over, and they're not talking about vaccine ingredients. They're talking about a simple prick of the skin, but not the stuff that's going inside the muscle and fatty tissue, which they are not students of. They are not critics of, or they wouldn't be doing it. They live in the best of all possible worlds, and they are hallowed and benefited and praised for enacting this ritual. The ritual is very significant. It is very significant to go to a place where you have no control, to give yourself up to an authority, to let them do a ritual in which you are a participant. It makes you feel like you're a part of something. That is very significant in medicine. The HIV test is a ritual. The HIV tests come up positive for everything and nothing. HIV tests come up positive because they are HIV tests. I can show you that literature that says we tested this test and it came up positive because the test contains elements that make the test come up positive. Clever. But you go to the ritual, you go to the priest, and they perform the ritual. You have the ritual in a place that you are not in control. You know it's going to cause you some fear, some anxiety, some pain, but then it will be over. Then you will be calmed. You will be a member of the society that accepts a tribal ritual. The anti-vaccine movement, for all of its facts and its data, which are real and resilient, do not have a countervening ritual to offer. They have nothing that says, you can bring your child to this non-vaccine center and we will bless your child with the holy oil of oregano and make sure there is no sugar or yeasty things in the diet so the child doesn't get sick very often. And if you and there'll be no GMOs and no glyphosate. We're going to do this as a ritual somehow. Anti-glyphosate, anti-vaccine, anti-sugar, anti-poison, anti-PCB ritual. We don't have anything like that. And so we can't compete. People who are asking for logic in medicine are missing the fundamental aspect of medicine. That it is a religious, ritualistic practice. And if you don't believe it, present your most pro-vaccine person with a list of vaccine ingredients and look at their response. Well, we live in the best of all possible worlds. You'll see the glazed look come over their eyes.
Yep.
Ask them to read the detailed medical literature, as you critics have done. I've seen it over and over again with every topic. We live in the best of all possible worlds. Buildings don't explode. Buildings don't just collapse that way. We live in the best of all possible worlds. They did have oil that we live in the best of all possible worlds. Mercury, we live in the best of all. I don't know if there's a solution to it. I'd simply like to point out that we are a far more tribal species, a far more mythology-driven, psychologically driven species than we are a logical species. That's why it makes it nearly impossible to get anything done in the sciences, which are, after all, a religion colored with a little bit of math. This is Liam Sheff. You can buy my book, Official Stories, at Amazon and CreateSpace. You can put a couple dollars into the PayPal kitty to keep these messages of critical thinking and hopelessness coming your way. Well, don't give up. Go grow food and get...
Yeah. Grow real food. Yeah, he was on some shit.
Makes
And
sense.
it was before anybody else I know knew anything at all. He was really, really on something.
But that's a trip that he broke down the
Yep.
ritual aspect of human behavior in medicine in that particular category. But yeah, all of it's sort of ritualistic. All of us, you know, and even how he said 9/11, like the best of all person. That's how it was on 9/11
Right,
for
exactly.
me.
The
'Cause,
glaze
I mean,
over
like-
is crazy. Trust the science is the best
Well,
of
to
both.
immediately
Like, trust the
think,
science, trust
to have your mind immediately go to that somebody on the inside could possibly collapse a building, like, you know, that was not even in the realm of possibility. It's for a
Right.
lot of
I
people.
thought he was overreacting. I thought he was.
It was for me.
It was for him, but I
knew
thought
they
he was
had something to do
right.
with it.
And I just thought, because my mom was always anti-government too. She was very, hippie movement, like the man is going to be tapping our phones. And I was like, oh my God, my mom's being crazy again. But obviously she was right. And I had that moment. But with him, I thought he was overreacting. But I thought it's because our government is shady. That's why we got attacked. I kind of thought, whereas some people were just like, they're attacking Americans. It was like for no reason,
Right, right.
So I was like halfway there, but I wasn't all the way there.
And
Like, why would they do that?
I love military things. Okay.
Okay.
And for those planes to get all the way, to be hijacked and get all the way to those buildings and crash into it without our military intervening, come on.
Well, see, I
right
know
there,
that
I was
now.
like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I know that now. At the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
you know, they had the exercises, and it didn't know if it was a training exercise or whatever,
Right.
the confusion or something like that.
Yeah,
And
you
actually,
found
at the
out later.
time, I was alert, even though I wasn't awake, because I was like, I remember what's his name, Donald Rumsfeld, saying that they lost like $5 trillion or $8 trillion or something like that.
Right.
And I remember that
Still missing.
pushing me like I was hot for a minute off of that. Like I remember just being hot. Like, how is he just saying that? How is he
Right.
how is he not saying that in the handcuffs? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like how is he like I remember that like hit me in a way that a lot of political things didn't until that time. And I remember him saying that, and I was just like, this motherfucker saying it with a straight face. I was like,
Yeah. And then just like that,
no,
Yeah.
because of what? 9/11.
Right.
yeah, I was a little more nigga back then, so that's the kind of shit somebody say to you, and you just pop off. You just
you upset.
right?
Right.
You just pop the fuck off, nigga. What? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Ooh, and that's how I felt back then. I was just like,
Was that before or after you knew about the Federal Reserve and all that?
This was before.
Before, okay.
This was
So yeah,
before.
you were on your
When
way.
you hear
I
something,
wonder
when you hear a person like Rumsfeld say something like that, it's like, and all these broke people over here that I see every day,
that I grow up with, that I hang with, my home,
Right.
and like you know, I wasn't always an angel. So back in the day, I was doing stuff to make it by that I wouldn't be doing anymore, right? So I'm out here hustling like I gotta hustle my ass off and work my ass off, and this motherfucker's losing trillions of dollars, just
trillions of
gone,
dollars.
gone.
and it was nothing.
Still
he said
gone,
it like
I
he
know.
said it like it was just in
So
passing.
where do you guys
like
think that
what?
money went? Like
Like
where is
he
it now?
knew
That money went into all black operations
ops.
and in people's pockets and all type of
like
stuff.
he knew
They
nobody
just
was
decided one
remember.
day, like we're just gonna take
No,
trillions.
no, they didn't. No, they've been taking trillions.
Oh, it
It was
got
just a
noticed.
reason
It
that
was
they
just-
had to say something at that point.
because they got noticed.
Right, maybe. Yeah,
No,
probably.
it's not because they got noticed. It's because that's the rule. See, there's rules to this.
Oh
shit.
yeah.
There you go. There you go.
But aren't
They
you supposed
gotta
to say,
tell us.
so you only have to say that it went away. You don't have to say how or where it went.
He didn't. He
That's
couldn't.
You know what? Listen. If I tell you I took $20 and you don't say what for, that's your business, right?
Right.
True that.
That's
Absolutely.
on you. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. So they gotta tell us.
That's why they can say, yeah,
But
that's
he
why
said
they
it like he knew we weren't gonna remember, because he said it so just almost with a smile on his face. I remember like a little smirk. I remember just like I just remember thinking like if I was in a room with him, I would have popped off. I just remember feeling angry, like I can't even explain it right now because I don't get angry like that no more. But I was triggered. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I was
Right,
so
And
triggered.
I think-
a lot of people weren't. They
No.
just were like, oh, that's what happens, I guess.
I think all of us asked the question, like, where the hell did he go?
I
Where
don't
the
even
fuck did he
remember
go?
caring about
But
that.
who are we gonna ask that? Who are we
Well,
gonna
see, it
ask?
was only, that's the thing. It was only hot for a day because the next day the towers came down.
Next day, 9/11.
Mhm. Yep.
I didn't
That's it.
even remember until probably a
Right.
couple of years later. I mean, I didn't even remember. I was all up in
See a
shock.
clip every
and awe.
now and then or something.
I was
Yeah.
like, shit. But I must
Now
have been
that
kind of
you're-
awake because I knew that they were looting Baghdad when they went in there and sealed it off and started taking stuff out, because I had been tapping into some not African American, but African studies at that point. But so I knew that they were in there taking some biblical, some kind of rod of something. I don't know what's in there, but they in there getting some kind of
in Baghdad.
I've
yeah,
heard
when they
Stargates too.
Yeah, well, that's
Well,
in
it went straight to the
Baghdad,
museum.
Afghanistan. Yeah,
Yeah, they
Huh?
went straight to the museum. Like that wasn't
Yeah,
suspect.
that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Artifacts
Like,
and
what
all that
kind of
stuff.
war
Like, what
goes
are you
straight to the
doing?
museum?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy. And erasing culture and erasing, the history of a people. It's like, it's a playbook, but usually it's not done in one sitting. Like it's usually done over time, So
Well, yeah, that's what's crazy about it. That's what I told my boys. I was like, you know what? I was doing it wrong before. They love for us to say things like YOLO, right? You only live once, but they think generationally.
they think
They're thinking ahead.
that's another thing though that makes people not understand why it's happening, because they're like, why do they care? They're like 200 years old, they're gonna die.
Right.
I'm like,
It's about their
not only their
bloodline.
bloodline, but I think they come back and they know when they're coming back.
And what they call caring for a tree that you know you'll never sit under the shade of. Something like that.
They don't have the capacity to care though. So once you know that, you're like, it's something else.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, what would it be if they don't care?
They don't care for humanity. They must only care for their
Well, no,
them.
I'm not saying that they care for us. What I'm saying is they care if they rule the world.
Oh,
right,
definitely.
exactly. But I think they come back.
So they
in their
plant that
places.
tree, even though they may
Right.
never sit in the shade of it.
I think that's why there's so many messages in stone too, because they know they need a reminder when they get back. I mean,
Are
those
there a
who
lot of
survive.
messages in stone?
Yeah, I mean,
A lot.
a lot of them. Yeah,
Yeah, a
I
lot.
mean,
It's not some of them are not just words. Say here, this is this is it.
but
No,
like like the tree. Did you get a chance to watch that? Amy Says What the Fuck? That one episode.
I watched a different one.
Oh, you
Because
did?
that
Okay,
one was
that's
like
cool.
3 hours, and I was like, okay, I can't.
you have some good information.
She does
I
great
know.
research. That one is older too, but
Listen, it's just 3 hours. I didn't have that to commit.
right. I'll just
to
get it
Amy.
on and then come back to it or whatever. But no, that woman talks about this Sumerian tree.
Okay.
In the stone, it's etched, and they have the people putting the cones into the tree or whatever. And so those kind of messages. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Well, she was good, by the way. I'm not saying she wasn't good, but
Oh
I
yeah,
just
no.
at last
Good.
week I didn't have 3 hours to give Amy, is what I'm
Right.
saying. Last week, but I
That one
find
is
that
great.
I find that the
That one-
more content
Right.
I make, the less time I have to intake other people's content.
Right.
That's kind of a
But
trade-off
you
there.
need to do that though to make
You
content.
take time to see other people's stuff, because
I mean,
Well, I mean,
you
I
find
do,
the best.
but
you find really good stuff.
Yeah, you find
really good stuff.
the best of it. Like the way it's curated is great. So
the way Amy does it?
the news.
No,
Yes,
I enjoyed
yours.
her presentation. I really
No,
did.
No, yours.
Oh.
But your news
Oh.
is curated.
Yeah.
It's like,
Okay, well, thank you.
So you're doing.
Thank you.
He's like, oh, okay.
If you watch it on
but
YouTube,
you're doing
you got to
okay,
catch
but
me
yeah,
on BitChute or Rumble to catch This Ain't News. It drops on Sunday. Yeah, but YouTube won't have me on on there anymore. So you got to catch me on Rumble or BitChute. Anyway, go ahead. What were you saying?
I don't remember.
Okay, all right.
No, but
No,
yeah,
it's all about just making sure you do have time to see other people.
Yeah, I send you the stuff I send you. I know that people don't usually have time, but like if he sends me something, I know that he really wants me to watch it, and vice versa. Like, and I'll bug him. So I'll bug you too, because if it's something that needs to be. I'm glad you found Liam though. That you found that clip, especially because he was into stuff that.
Wait, you said he just died? Did you tell me he just died?
He died, not just. Yeah, that's part of it. So what I was going to bring up actually before we even got into this conversation was he did an article about AIDS babies being used as guinea pigs, and this recently got brought up again because when I had researched it, nobody had this information, so it was a lot of digging I had to do on my part, but I was very curious about it, and so I did the digging. I found out he had broke open a story about what is it called? Incarnation. I think that's what it's called. Children's Center, which was a home in New York City for foster children, Black and brown foster children, who had AIDS.
This one,
maybe because of that. Yeah. Oh, that one. Yes. Yeah, I haven't even gotten back to that to remind myself. But he was referencing they found a whole bunch of bodies buried of these kids too, but which happens a lot, by the way. But so Liam broke open this story about it was actually sponsored by NIH and Dr. Fauci when he was there. Was it or NAID? It might have been the same exact connection, but he was heading a lot of the AIDS research anyway. And so they were getting these children. They were testing all these drugs on children, drugs that were hurting adults or hadn't even been tested on adults, and testing them on these children that had AIDS. HIV, they were not getting parental consent. The kids were, the stories are awful.
Terrible.
Awful. And
they buried 300 or something in one mass grave in New York.
They have done this so many times against the American people that I'm surprised that anybody even believes anything that they have to say. It trips me out. We go all the way back to Tuskegee Airmen and all the way up to when they were spraying the tunnels in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just spraying people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm writing something about it. It's just they've done it. They've done it but people don't, they think of it as a far removed. That was in the past. The government's different now. They wouldn't do that. Why would you think that? But here, I'll share my screen. Hold on 1 second. Because
I never got
not
that.
only is it exactly the same.
Well,
Oh,
they
you
just
have it
got better at
disabled.
hiding it. Oh, let me give you the
Got it
option. My bad. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, okay, hold on. Shares. So these are AIDS protests from the 80s, when around the time this was happening. And as you can see from the signs, it's
Fauci
literally
resigned
this
now.
Fauci.
Yeah.
And look at I mean, this was a march, I want to say at the Capitol actually. And
Thing is, bottom line, he's been doing this for so long.
right. I mean, these are all that Fauci was wrong. New York City AIDS policy is racist. Dead from drug profiteers. So the AZT was very, very.
Well, most people don't realize that Fauci was the same guy that was involved with the AIDS epidemic. And also, do you have there's another headline about him, how AIDS triggered smallpox. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Or how the smallpox vaccine triggered AIDS.
Triggered AIDS, yeah. There's a film, it wasn't about this, but there was somebody interviewed. It's a documentary. What was it about? It was about the murder of a diplomat, I believe, and I cannot remember the name of the film right now, but I have the clip somewhere. So they're being interviewed in Africa, and the missionaries are saying, we just put AIDS in the smallpox vaccine. Like, we were literally going to go kill the entire Black race. Like, that was our mission. That's what we were doing. So they had it. They might have known. I mean, I don't think they put it in there. I think it was just in there. Maybe, I don't know. But
well, they put it in this vaccine, didn't they? HIV.
Yeah.
The way it is. Yeah. The way. I mean, it's the same. So this one I thought was interesting because this ACT UP was a huge activist movement, and they had stormed the NIH, which is so funny because storm the Capitol. They stormed the Capitol is such a. But it just seems like these things just repeat and repeat. Like AIDS Gate.
Yes. No, then they had that back then.
Yeah, it's like all the
so same. They've been using Gate, but since that's crazy.
And I think
it's Watergate. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. But you've been using it. I thought they just started using it again now.
No, they've been doing it.
But they've been doing it since the 80s still.
There was
that's crazy.
Oh, Liam.
I mean, they've done it in the 80s.
Because Liam was talking about anti-vaxxers. Anti-vaxxers, like that was something, a term that they use. It's not new, you know? So yeah, like all of this, Dr. Fauci, you're killing us. Like, it's like how quickly we forget or just go blind.
You know, yeah, I think it's because people live in the metaverse.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's how I look at it. I think that since everything that comes out of the television and radio, it's all scripted. That's the metaverse. That's the prototype, right? Now you're going to be able to put it on your head like goggles, but the prototype is in effect as we speak. Yeah, and there are many people that live in the metaverse and don't realize it. You got to turn off the TV. You got to turn off the radio. You got to stop consuming that.
We don't watch anything now at all. Like, it's so crazy. We used to be into so many movies and all this stuff. I cannot watch anything anymore. Like, I had a moment of that when I was working in production. It was hard for me to produce shows because I'd be like, in my mind, I could see like catering over there, see the director. Like, I just knew what was going on set. But now it's on a whole nother level. It's like,
well, now, you know, it's funny. I find myself watching more TV now than I used to, but mostly just to kind of turn off from everything else. But like the last thing I watched, I think, was the Bernie Mac show, and I watched it like front to back, and it was good. It was solid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad or anything like that, but at the same time, I understood, like, whenever I'm watching it, like, this is bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there will be times where you just break out of it. You don't. Most people turn off when they watch TV, you know, and you allow it to kind of envelop you, and you get taken away with. You get hypnotized by it. I'm not able to do that anymore. I was entertained with Bernie Mac show, right? And I watched it. I laughed at some of the situations, but you know, every once in a while, I just be like, okay, all right, you know, it just so happens at this, or just so happens at that.
Like, good acting, like if I send you a clip, like that's things that you can kind of still appreciate.
Yeah, they were talented.
We'll watch documentaries, but even those are sometimes like It's so tailored to
Propagandized.
We don't have like what actual cable.
Yeah, we don't have cable anymore.
We don't have that. We have
Right.
internet. That's it. We don't. It's like we don't need it.
Yeah,
And
you don't. You don't.
I don't know.
No, you don't. I mean, I really don't watch a lot of television, and I went probably years without watching any of it, and I started watching some like in the last few months. I had my roommate passed away, and I used to spend a lot of time with her, and so I didn't really have time for TV. So now I'd just be sitting around like, okay, let me try something or whatever. But I can't really get in. There's so much people say it's good or whatever. I'm on Twitter, and somebody just said the Terminal List was good, but I can't. I can't watch. I just can't really watch. I just watch old stuff that I kind of seen before that I know is good. I watch Good Times. You know what I'm saying? I watch.
Yeah.
You know
The Wire. I would agree with The Wire. The Wire is a great one.
I see. I never got into The Wire even the first time around.
There you go. You might.
I tried. It's like The Sopranos. I never really got into it. It's like it was okay.
I didn't get into The Sopranos.
Yeah,
Last thing I watched was Game of Thrones.
I
That
got
was
into that one. Yeah, I was sprung on Game of Thrones. I was
Right
sprung,
until the last season or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Game
I
of
was
Thrones.
sprung on that and Breaking Bad. I was sprung on Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
too.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad was very good.
Boing.
What about Sons of Anarchy? Did you get into
That
that?
was good too.
It was good, but I wasn't. It was good. It was a lot of white people for me.
Yeah, especially in the Bay Area. We were like,
Right.
wait, what happened?
And nothing against white people, but it was just so much. Everything is so white, you know what I'm saying? So, it was all right. It was cool.
I mean,
I
Game of
appreciate it.
Thrones. Like,
I mean, if you're gonna see white people, I want to see white people that I don't really know. There was this one show called, you know what I'm saying? This one show, what was it called? Like Outlander or something like that, about these white people that live in the mountains and talked with this funny language and stuff. Like, it was so good. I forget it was on WGN, and it was so good, but it was like I was seeing something hadn't already seen. You know what I'm saying? Like poor white people. I grew up with them. You know what I'm saying? Like I can hang out with them pretty much anytime. You know.
There's a comedian. There's a comedian that talks about that. Because he came out, I guess, during the whole Black Lives Matters and everything, and he was like, "I'm so poor." It's like because they're like, "You did it, the white man, and he took everything, did it," and he's like, why would I take everything and then come move right next door to you? Why would I do that?
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it's not true that everything is one way, and nothing is monolithic. It's all everything is everything. But yeah. So
I think when you get down to it genetically anyway, you're gonna find that all of us are from someplace else. I think really when it comes down, everybody here is from someplace else. There were some modifications back in the day. I think that's what the story of Adam and Eve is somewhat about. I mean, it's about your Kundalini and splitting of the atom and all that too. But yeah, at that time, something happened that changed the human genome the way that they're trying to do it now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you see the video of the guy from the military, and he is changing?
Oh God, yeah.
Right.
Did you see that?
I mean, he's showing his elbows coming out.
You saw it on my news.
Oh, it was on yours. Okay.
That was on yours.
Oh my God.
That freaked me
saw
out.
it on my news. Yeah, man. Ooh, I was like, what? You saw the guy that walked up to the TV and the TV turned and started reading his Bluetooth signal?
Man.
Oh, yeah, that was, I don't know about that one.
No. Have you heard anything else from him?
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, have we checked on him lately? The guy?
No, I haven't seen anything else from him.
It reminded me of The Fly.
Yeah. Remember The Fly?
Jeff
That's
Goldblum.
what that reminded me of.
Gross.
Oh man. He was growing stuff. That's crazy.
Indeed.
He didn't say whether he was vaccinated or anything, but just being
that's what he did.
But being in the military was enough. Like for me, I feel like the military,
they experiment on the military anyway.
They go in on them, and it's messed up because their brains are already trained a certain way. Because I would never join the military. I would never do that. But they've already gotten past the first step of what they can do to somebody by them joining. They know.
I got a question for you. Do you think
hold that question?
Do I look fat because of the
No,
way?
do
I look fat?
No.
Did you just say, do I look fat?
Yes, because I'm in front of him. He's behind me, so it makes him. And then
I'm leaving that part in.